Welcome, guys. So obviously, TNG Online Connect. So the whole purpose of TNG Online Connect is to widen your TNG group from not just your region, but international or national anyway. So you can meet other people from across the country and obviously get a bit of extra value from getting great guest speakers in, like Sarah, who's going to be sharing with us today. So talking about Sarah, let's do a quick intro. So Sarah is going to be chatting us today about managing your energy, not your time. So obviously it's been a super busy year. There's been a lot of unexpected. So how can you go into your workday energized, with full of vitality, that sort of thing. A little bit about Sarah herself. Is a corporate escapee to wellpreneur. We'll probably learn a little bit more about what that means. But after working 25 years grinding away in corporate, decided that wasn't for her, and looking at some of the tips and the resources around managing your energy, getting things done, how to control your emotions, all of that stuff in the workplace. So Sarah, please take it away.
All righty, welcome, hello. I'll just share my screen a second, just so that you can see. I'll just present this.
Awesome, we can see that now. Great.
So can everybody see that okay?
Yep.
So good morning, everyone, and welcome, and kia ora. I'm particularly grateful that I can be here as we are emerging from our own COVID cave over the last 12 days. And I'm still testing positive this morning. But this week, more than any, some of the tips that I share have been so useful to put into action amidst our ongoing uncertainty. And my appreciation goes to the team at TNG, Melanie, for inviting me along to this conversation. So thank you. So I'm Sarah Linton. I'm founder and lead catalyst advisor at Tides of Change Transformation. I'm also co-founder with Christine Joel at thewave.co.nz. And we work together to broaden our impact, and we work as a team to deliver bespoke results for individuals, organizations and their teams. And we really partner leaders who are ready to become out of their busyness. And these amazing individuals that we can call our clients are often in roles of leadership. And it's the leadership that extends across their everyday. So at one end of the scale, we can have, C-suite executives or business owners, entrepreneurs, and they're wearing multiple hats during the day and managing passion projects, as well as being family leaders, because leadership can, extend across all three aspects of our everyday. And that has a massive impact on our energy. So we help them to navigate the ebb and the flow of what that looks like in their everyday. One of the things that's common across all of the states of leadership, executive, entrepreneurs, or family, they all want to create a number of outcomes. They're very similar. They want more time, they want to get more results, those commercial results that they've been tasked to do, and they want to have an impact. And their impact is across their whole self-leadership in the much wider world as well. Does that resonate with anyone? About wanting more time, more results? But the facts behind all of this, and this is the elements that keep us awake at night, is that we also know that 76% of leaders struggle with fatigue and burnout. That means that one in five of our workforce have been impacted by stress and anxiety, or even depression, depressive episodes. So particularly over the last few years, 20% of our workforce have taken time away and have been impacted about their sustainable success for their organisations or their business. Very mindful of the New Zealand experience is that we know that 50% of New Zealanders experience some sort of mental distress or some addiction. And so many of us will have touch points or examples of those situations that have gone to the extreme, and so many withdraw and isolate without having a safe place to have those conversations. And a really worrying statistic that really keeps us awake is about the World Health Organization. They predict that mental illness will be a leading cause of disability and also workplace absenteeism by 2030 if it's not proactively managed. And so we want to be part of that solution. We are also very mindful that as much as our amazing clients want to have more time, results, and get more impact, we've also been dealing with all the COVID layers over the last few years. And it's been a very fast evolving globe. Even before COVID, we were moving very, very fast. And the experience of the COVID globe has certainly brought new layers. The uncertainty, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's something that we really talk about a lot. We've got increased risks happening. We've got ongoing change. And we've all had to change the ways we work. We've had to adapt, and we've had to find new ways and systems to get things done for our businesses as much as for ourselves and the business of doing our everyday. For us, vitality is at the heart of any leadership, and finding ways to create sustainable change for you and your business and your everyday is at the pulse of keeping our productivity and happiness right in flow. So I'd like to introduce you to a couple of friends. This is Matt and Kirsty. And these are actually, they're not photos of them, but they are actually clients of ours. And it's been fascinating to actually work with them over the past 6 months. Both business owners, they have business responsibilities or they have a senior leadership role. They both have partners and they also have family responsibilities. They're different. In fact, one has more layers of a blended family, and also the young end of the spectrum, the teens, young adults, and also part of the sandwich generation, where they're also managing young families and taking care of aging parents. So these are real situations. And I refer to these two, I call them courageous humans, because they have chosen to create changes and transform their everyday. Because when we first connected, they already knew something had to change. They didn't know what, and they didn't know how, but they did know, they did have common pain points. They were continually exhausted. They were busy, being busy. They were doing, they were working exceptionally long hours, and often across time zones, something that I remember very well, you know, when businesses are now on all the time, 24/7. And as a result of that, there's seemingly relentless demands. And then there's unexpected challenges that often come left of field, and there's often competing priorities within that. The consequences of, you know, running your life like that is that we eat erratically. We take caffeine and we're always on the run. So we're never giving our bodies a chance to recover. And our sleep patterns are definitely affected. Often in these situations, we have no regular movement or exercise. Often we've lost our mojo or our spark and a connection to what we're doing. And we're always operating in that fight and flight. The damage that does to our physical form is monumental. And we have this gorgeous, I call it a laboratory that we've really got to take care of. And another consequence that we find is that there's a lack of presence, and the lack of presence can be actually on the roll, or it can be with your loved ones at home. And the impact of that creates communication challenges. And I don't know about you, but I've certainly been in situations where I've been grumpy and, you know, my husband is, you know, wanting more of my time, but I haven't actually been very present. And then the kids are wanting my attention. And so we're always continuously juggling. And one of the things that's common amongst this is that they always say, I don't have time. So what happens is we start operating in our over and our unders. The overs is that we are, excuse me, still got a bit of phlegm. We're overworking, we often overeat, we're definitely overthinking. And as a result of that, you know, over drinking is a very common challenge. We do too much browsing, we overshop, we overgive to others, and often over medicate as well. And as a result of that, we get into that place where we're underperforming, we're undersleeping, we're under eating, we're definitely under moving, and we're forgetting about self-care. The part in the middle is where we feel that high pressure and often the levels of fear of failure, and we start getting really frazzled as a result. So, does that sound familiar to anyone? Show any hands that if you recognize something about yourself or somebody you know, just put your hand up or yeah, put that annotation or the thing. Yeah, great. I relate, I hear you. So let's talk about time. Let's talk about that. Sorry, before I go on to that, I just want to say with all of those things, there's always a consequence. How you are feeling will live and show up somewhere. So sometimes when we're actually severely impacted by our most precious asset, which is our health, sadly, it's a diagnosis that often creates a catalyst of change. And for me, that is the saddest moment to know when somebody's got that far when they could have done something earlier. And we are passionate to help leaders to actually avoid that. So in the next sort of 15-20 minutes, I'm going to share some thought work about how you might manage your energy and not your time. By the end of the session, hopefully you'll have 3 or 4 practical insights that will spark your curiosity and flip your focus from a to-do list to a to-be list. This is actually one of a 5-part series of experiences that we share. We call them Vitality Bites, and we share them to provide practical solutions to everyday challenges. Our goal is so that you can integrate just one small step and that will make an impact and elevate your curiosity and choices around how you might do something differently that will help you overcome any current challenge that you're experiencing. So let's talk about time. This thing that doesn't go away. Traditionally, amidst our busyness, the focus has been on productivity. And we all know we need to get stuff done. These are just some quotes of time waits for no one. No one has power enough to stop time or change its course. Time is money. That's the concept of opportunity cost. Each choice you make has a cost. Time isn't the main thing, it's the only thing. That beautiful jazz musician, Miles Davis, when you've got so much time. And then Stephen Covey talks about the key is not in spending time, but it's actually investing time. Invested in something that you value and has real importance to you. The truth is that our decisions and actions define whether time becomes our friend or our foe. And it's taking control of our time that enables us to live our own life and getting the most out of it. So in the context of time, it's in personal growth, how many of you have taken action to take a course or read an article or adopt a technique or maybe download an app and certainly done some research about time management? Anyone done any work on that? Yep. And it's something that, that's the first port of call. We go to time. The question that we're asking ourselves is, how can I be more productive and get more done in less time? So let's have a play. How do you manage your time? Out of all those things that we know, and we all know that as business people, we're all very capable. Let's take a minute and what's your one rule? Maybe put it in the chat. Your one rule about managing your time that you adopt every day. I'd love to see any responses. I'll just get the chat up if I can. Oh yeah, there you go. Is it about organizing, planning, focusing on doing one thing? What's the one thing that you take to the party? Yeah, make lists. No comms to mobile after 9. I love that one, Malcolm. Nice. Waking up every morning to get a couple of extra hours into my day and to do exercise. Yeah, definite intention with a definite outcome. Taking the dogs for a walk. Awesome. There's some lovely examples there. Thank you. Exercise first. That's a great one. Who said that about Malcolm saying, you know, if it happens, it's getting those things that you want to do, get them done first. That's a great one. They're all great examples. And amidst, you know, in any of the time management and sort of organizing and prioritizing, focusing on the 80-20 rule, get the 80% done, the 20% will take care of itself. The reality is, and the truth is, that actually we know all of the things that help us to be more productive. But what we also know to be true is just because we know what to do doesn't mean to say we actually do it. We're human, perfectly imperfect. Over our years of practice, we've landed on some common threads that are the biggest ouches and the biggest pain points for our explorers that work with us. And we've challenged ourselves to address this as part of our integration work. And the question that we have is, what if you could have the time, get the results you want, and create the impact that you want, and have more energy to be present in all of those circumstances? To have that, it would be solving many pain points of all of the behaviours that I've described before. The crux of it, excuse me, the crux, here's the crux. We've got 24 hours in any day, and time is actually finite. For all of, certainly the human history that I've studied, in any one day, it's the only fair resource on earth where every person gets 24 hours a day. How we manage our energy and our vitality within those 24 hours amidst our to-do list become the heartbeat of how you feel. When you can imagine, oh, that looks like quite a busy chart, come on. The flip side of that is our energy is actually renewable. We've got 24 hours in our day, and actually we can choose how we focus on our energy. Imagine having more energy per unit of time that is given. Just sit with that for a moment. How does that feel? Yeah. I'm not sure how many of you may have heard of the ultradian rhythms. If you haven't heard of this, you've definitely heard of body clocks. We know more likely, we've heard about the circadian rhythm, which is all about our sleep cycle. But when you manage your time, if we come back to time, when we manage our time, we're managing the 80-20 rule. With a rhythm that suits our body clock of our humanness, is that we actually look at a 90-20 rule. With energy, we can perform at a high level for about 90 minutes. But in order for us to do that, we have to listen to what's going on inside us. We actually can kick off, we can actually get into a productive phase, and we can actually operate at our top performance for a length of about 90 minutes before our body is starting to nudge us by saying, actually getting a bit tired, losing concentration, maybe getting a bit stressed and overwhelmed at kind of staying at that level. We need to be able to step back and take about 20 minutes of recovery. That can take all manner of forms. It can be stepping away from your desk. It can be taking a break outside in nature. And so that we can just allow our body just to reset and actually allow that fight and flight response to settle. And then we can then come back and reset and then get back into productivity phase again. our energy starts moving through those troughs, and we need to listen to the signals of restlessness. We need to listen if we start yawning. Anybody start yawning when they're getting a bit at the end of their energy? I know that's me, and I certainly lose concentration. But if you ignore them at your peril, because you will be delving into reserves that actually take from you. And immediately, as a result, we become less productive. So imagine, if you just think about that for a minute, go back into that busyness of just always doing your to-do list, doing your tasks, getting through it, feeling good, ticking them off. And then you just keep going. You just keep going and going and going until you hit a burnout. And that burnout has massive consequences to your well-being. And the thing that we tell ourselves, and this is the fascinating part, is that we tell ourselves, I don't have time. I don't have time to stop. The reality is, if you did stop, you would be able to create the time to feel better, to be more productive. If you notice something there that kind of resonates with you, or you can almost picture one of your team or somebody you know who's just driving and driving and driving, it's really worthwhile just having a coffee with them and just talking this through about, where do you step back? How do you recharge? Because imagine what's happening if, this is something that we see on the outside, but imagine what's happening on the inside. Now, self-care. Self-care is absolutely paramount to our well-being. I'm not going to be talking about, all the self-care elements. That's a topic in itself. But the fundamentals of self-care is all about making sure you nourish yourself well, eat regularly, hydrate, move, have some exercise plan, and allow your body enough sleep in any day to actually rest and recuperate. And creating specific daily rituals and habits will be the single most effective change you can make to create any impact and really get back into a zone where you can actually recharge and reset. Without those in place, we are already on the back foot. And I just say it again, is that, these are basic principles of well-being, but just because we know what to do, again, it doesn't mean to say we actually do it. And and creating these rituals around behaviors, around intentions, and then we've got to get into the practice. And when we specifically practice them, we can actually create tiny habits every day that can collectively create a massive impact. And that doesn't mean to say we're going to get it right every day. That's why I call it the practice. We call it the practice of being human. And it's amazing, once we actually do get into a rhythm, it's amazing how quickly these become unconscious. It's just the way you do stuff, and it becomes automatic. And the phenomenal thing is, what gives me goosebumps is when I see the impact of these every day, and then they crave not doing a habit that they absolutely feared 3 or 4 months before. So let's think about if time is a finite resource, and energy has got a number of resources. In fact, there's 4 tanks that you can actually address and actually do something about. We can actually look at, we talked about the body, how do you take care of your own body? You are responsible for what you put in and take out of your body. And self-care is paramount importance for that physical health. And it's really looking at what can I do for my self-care that will actually have an impact on my everyday. It might be drinking 1 more glass of water a day, not expecting the leap to go from 0 to, suddenly you're drinking the 3.2 litres, but it's actually just doing something small that will actually make an impact in today, because even drinking water can actually boost your energy. The next tank to look at is to think about your mind. Think about how you are approaching the way you are approaching your multitasks. We know that multitasking actually undermines productivity, and any distractions are actually very costly to how our mind is functioning. And the biggest thing that we can do here is to really know what are the things that distract us the most, and actually create hygienic habits around them. So if that means email, how many times do we get pinged with a text or an email coming in, is actually give yourself a block of time to address emails. It sounds really simple, but it's hard to do when we are always on and actually meeting expectations of others. But have a think about the impact on your productivity by not doing it. Look at it from, if I don't do this, what am I not getting done? So the most productive leaders that I see, they actually become masters of this, of actually being able to create time to do emails, to do texts, to make contact. And they have really clear communication and boundaries with the people of what's expected of them. So it's creating your own menu that actually works for you. The third tank is about managing our emotions. When we are in every day, we are managing our own emotions of how we're feeling about what we're doing, but also we are impacted by the energy of what comes around us, the people that we spend time with, and all the emotions that come with that. Humans are emotional, bottom line. And knowing how to ride those emotional waves will save you energy. And a really big tip is to monitor how you react to anything that comes up in any one day. And step back and save your breath. Sometimes we get reactive and we're triggered by something. But a really cool tool is to step back and have a think about how you might be reacting. Take a breath, buy time by just taking a breath 3 or 4 seconds just before you actually react or say something. And that's, again, it's a whole topic in itself that I could do a completely separate workshop on. But it's actually just thinking about how you're navigating your own emotions and what you're picking up from others. And the more awareness you can build around that, the impact will be massive in terms of how it actually impacts on your own energy level. And ultimately, cultivating positive emotions is actually intentionally looking at the emotions that you want to cultivate during the day. Our monkey mind will tell us all kinds of stories. It will tell us things that I'm tired or I'm exhausted. If you can flip those and actually start looking at emotions positively, I'm excited about the day ahead and I'm looking forward to getting through, the task list, then we can actually really generate some energy just in terms of that feeling, that little bit of energy that gives you that momentum to get you through. And actually they all compound. Biggest thing as well is actually expressing appreciation of others. Sometimes that can be a circuit breaker of when we're living in our heads. How many times do you think about how well somebody that you work with has done something really well, but not said it? By appreciating them, again, it's the impact of giving and appreciating them for their work or a task that they've supported you and helped you on. See what comes back. That energy absolutely flips, because you're likely to have somebody over there that doesn't feel appreciated, that actually is creating this negative energy, and you're picking up on that. So it's all interrelated. It's almost like this constellation of energy that you can create by leading in a way that cultivates those positive emotions. Does that make sense? Is that landing? Is that resonating? Yeah. And the fourth tank that I'm very, very passionate about is, completely wrong words on the slide, but never mind. This is about connection to what you do. Inspiration comes from all kinds of energetic levels. It's and on some levels you can call it your spiritual connection to something greater than us. Inspiration also for me and for us in our integration work is around connection to purpose, to know that you are doing something purposefully. That doesn't mean to say you are going to suddenly, evaluate your role and decide you're not, on track and you want to do something different. That might happen, but you can still have purposeful work in your everyday by connecting purposefully to how you want to do something. We do a lot of work around connection to purpose to help elevate our energy. And it's just knowing what gets you up in the morning, what motivates you to get out of bed, to confront any challenge that comes ahead. And that can be all connected to your values and really how you want to show up in the world, who your greater person is in your everyday, that purposeful connection in everything that you do. We've taken the context of life, which is when anybody says, oh, you're a life coach, I say, yes, I am. I use coaching as one of the modalities. Life feels very, very big to so many people. If we break it down, is that life is made up of everyday moments. It's every day. There's 24 hours in every day. And if we can make the most of every one of those 24 hours and we can do one thing in the best way we can be as the best version of ourselves, we are already moving forward to evolution and growing to be who we want to be. And you can actually become a master of managing all these levels and recognizing that, yes, time is one element, but you have finite and infinite amount of resources that you can also dip in to help you actually overcome challenges in any day. So, self-assessment. This is a tool that we've put together. It's a 2-minute tool that will send anybody that's interested, just to have a look at all those 4 elements, just to take an assessment of where you are now. What needs your attention? It will take you about 2 minutes to complete. So Melanie agreed that she would send it on to everybody afterwards. Thank you. And it's more about just meeting yourself where you are. And this is it's another really useful tool to remember, is that if we are aware of where we are now, we don't have to worry about where we've been. We're just meeting ourselves where we are. And then we can actually evaluate where we want to go forward. So this will give you an idea of kind of what needs attention, where you might be able to create changes, and then start designing those small habits that impact in your everyday. What we know about leadership is that the more senior you become, it actually gets lonelier. And we can often find ourselves in some isolation, and where we live a lot of this in our heads. And we're wondering how we stay present and how we stay productive with momentum. And this applies to, it's not just about the more senior we come in organizations, it's also as a business owner, we can actually struggle with professional loneliness. And some of these tools that we can work with can actually help us to design action steps to create connection, because those connections are going to be very valuable to you to actually just create safe space to have the conversations that you need to have. The worst part of that isolation and loneliness is actually about it manifesting. It doesn't actually get aired, and it impacts on how you feel when you are in the workplace, and you often take your leftovers home, which is something that your partner has to deal with, which I spent 5 years of my life being like that. and it's been my absolute driver to help other people to avoid doing that. So, where are we? Thank you for listening. We do love to connect. Our mission is always to meet fascinating humans and to create ripples and waves that create change in any ebb and flow of any everyday. And we do that with one conversation at a time. So if a complimentary Catalyst consult call sounds like an experience for you, please reach out, get in touch. We really look forward to sharing a cup of tea or a coffee, whatever your cuppa is. And just as a moment, is the biggest risk that we don't take is the one that you never take. So thank you for your attention. I hope that's been useful. Love to hear your one aha moment or your one takeout from the time we've had together.
Awesome, thank you. Thanks so much, Sarah. That was really insightful. I think there was a couple of people wanting to comment at a time. I know. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions? Takeaways? I know definitely Mark's had to head off to a meeting, but he definitely mentioned or gave his thanks for the presentation. It was really insightful. Some of those, Malcolm, do you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, Sarah, that was fascinating. I know this stuff, you know, it's not complicated, but it's so careful. Look, I work in the coaching field with small businesses. The theory, you know, the stuff you put here, the assessment, you know, what's our current reality as a person, 100%. My challenge as a coach is implementation. Could I'll contact you separately by email, but I just thought I'd put it out there to the group, saying in the end, you will no doubt have developed a toolkit around actually taking somebody from A to B. I guess it's what makes you successful as a life coach. My question quite simply is, do you have a process, a reasonably simple, perhaps documented process that that somebody like me could follow, you know, if I wanted to clearly take my current reality from A to B?
Yes, I do. I combine leadership, well-being, and life coaching, and ultimately, the responsibility to create change is with them. We're not you. The biggest thing that gets in our way is me, you. We're our blocks, and the power comes in the conversation of actually, when I started out, accountability was a really big thing because I wanted everyone to get a result. But the biggest thing is uncovering what gets in their way of not taking the action that they want to take. And that comes through, obviously, powerful questioning, holding that space and getting really beneath the why. What is the block? And because often the block that they think it is not the block that's real. So yes, there is a process. There's a lot of deep work that goes on between a start point, a midpoint. To me, there's never an end point because we continuously evolve and grow. I think that I would share that change takes time. They have to be really ready to take on the work and know that it's the work that's done in between the sessions, in our coaching sessions, that actually creates the biggest change, because it's the steps that they take when they're out in the real world that actually create the biggest impact. But if I mean, I work in a number of different ways, is that weekly sessions at the start point is absolutely invaluable to get them from A to B to C to D, but they have to really want to create it. But yes, there is a process that's lengthy and lots of modalities that we can pull in as resources. Bottom line is getting to that motivating factor that anchors them in to say, I am so ready that I'm not going to accept no to myself. And when they're at that point, they will do anything. But they need, it's really hard to do it alone. Brené Brown always says, we were never meant to do this stuff alone. And because of the complexities of how our minds work. So does that answer the question? Really happy to take it offline as well.
Yeah, no, look, thank you. And I think all the points you make are relevant. I guess, most of us just want to get to the end game, really quickly. And unfortunately, we just can't take a pill to do that. So I accept the comments you make around that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Definitely something you have to keep running, keep working on, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't come overnight.
No.
There's definitely on a note of like appreciation, we work in a design space, and when a client shows us appreciation, like the whole energy level of the office goes up.
Yes.
And amongst your own staff as well. So definitely just having that voice of appreciation or something, like it can turn a bad day or a bad week around,
Absolutely.
It can have a huge impact. Cool. Are there any other questions? Otherwise, we'll do a quick wrap around the room. Obviously, do remember that Melanie will be sending out the tool that Sarah mentioned, so you can go through and do that to kind of manage your well-being, I guess. And then obviously the recording of the session will be online as well, so you can re-go over that. Melanie, did you have a question?
I don't actually have a question, Dan, but I would just like to thank Sarah for being here today. I know that you and your family have been unwell this week, and it will have taken you both time and energy to give to us and to share with us, and we really appreciate it. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Cool. What we'll do is we'll do a quick wrap around the room, and just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you do, and then we can go off into the week and the weekend. So let's start with you, Malcolm. Let's hear from you.
Thanks, guys. I'm pleased to meet you all here online, and thanks again, Sarah. Excellent presentation. I work for a organisation called Business Success. We specifically work with smaller to medium-sized business owners in the business part of their day, of their life, if you like. Working with them, interestingly enough, Sarah, to reconnect with their why, because so many just don't know why they actually have this thing they call a business as a vehicle, what the vehicle is supposed to do. And many of them do not understand what the core purpose, what the why of the business itself is. We do encourage them through this planning exercise, because as you have said, it takes some time to go from A to B. And once we've put the what we call the BHAG around the why, then we plan, and then we get to the really difficult stuff, which is how to get them to actually implement that plan. So yeah, that's essentially what we do. And when we get a win, when we get an engaged business owner and we're able to move the needle, as we say, it's something very fascinating. So that's what I do.
Awesome. Thanks, Malcolm. Leonard.
Good morning, guys. Good to be here. Sarah, thank you very much. It was quite insightful, and I found a few touch points there, could identify with it. So it's probably a reason, or for me, it's an eye opener to get me to actually be in the moment. I guess. And then, that would be a good starting point because there's just so much happening. I'm a small business owner. Property management is my game. I am based in Albany, Auckland, and I service the whole of the North Shore and surrounding areas anywhere I can get within about 20 to 30 minutes, just to keep it nice and tight. So if you know anybody that needs a property manager, it's residential only, yeah, feel free to get in touch. Thank you.
Thanks, Leonard. Imogen?
Hi everyone, I'm Imogen from Kowal Bay Kitchen. We're an operated restaurant based on the Hibiscus Coast. Pretty intimate setting with about 30 seats inside, 20 seats outside. And huge thank you today to Sarah for the webinar. I found it really, really interesting, relatable, definitely taken away a lot of points from that. Yeah, just hearing about the kind of the not enough sleep and not eating properly and all the kind of stresses, and especially with the current times too. So it's been really helpful. Also found the points that you talked about regarding like the leadership loneliness definitely comes through within the team that we're in too, because it's kind of like, oh, the boss is here, but it's not kind of nice being on that receiving end. Yeah, and I'm definitely taking away from it the staff appreciation. So just telling more of the staff, thank you, and what you did was great, rather than just thinking it and not necessarily expressing it. So yeah, definitely taken a lot away from today. So thank you. And come and see us on the coast if you're ever in Orewa. Great little restaurant. So that's me.
Well, thank you. Kirsty?
Hello everybody, thanks for having me. I actually come as a guest with Imogen, so this is my first time today. Thank you, Sarah, too. Took loads away from that. I actually work for a company that delivers wellness programs into the local community through a network of health coaches, and one of my roles is actually motivating and keeping them energized and empowered. So I do quite a lot of business mindset coaching, but I've taken away an awful lot from you today, particularly the 90-20. Love that. We kind of work on the Pomodoro methodology of working for 90 minutes and then stopping. So that was wonderful. The other thing as well that I actually really heard was about, you actually said the word elevate curiosity, and I think that's something for me. It's definitely a precursor to creativity as a business owner. I think it's really important to actually just take that time and to stop. So that really resonated. Loved all the tips about the 4 tanks as well, so thank you for that. There's a number of health coaches that are going to benefit from that today. So yeah, it's been wonderful. Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, Kirsty. Helen, we got you there, Helen?
Hi, I'm Helen Mcdermott. I'm solicitor at Righteous Law. I belong to the TNG group in Sylvia Park. I found the talk today very interesting and very relevant at the moment. I will take quite a lot away. I think we're all really busy at the moment, especially in the COVID situation. A little bit about my work. We're a full service law firm in Ellerslie, and we can help with any type of legal work that you require. I myself specialise in litigation, and I mostly do family law and civil, and a little bit of criminal, and a little bit of, I'll do some employment as well. So, and I've got quite a extensive background in debt recovery. So if you're having any trouble at the moment getting your creditors to pay and want to enforce any contracts or go bankrupt somebody or liquidate a company, I'm your person. Thank you. That's Helen from Righteous Law.
Awesome. Thanks, Helen. Sweet. So there's me. Well, I'm Dan. I run Ingot, which is a digital design studio. So we primarily work in the web space and brand space. So obviously better communicating a company's brand, their imagery, the story behind them, and then how that's communicated on the web, and how that interlinks with all of your marketing channels as well, all the other touch points that you have. So around the website space, we quite love the tricky, complex ones. So the ones that integrate into your CRMs or your third-party systems that you work in with, or if you need a membership space or subscriptions or large-scale e-commerce, all those things that would make your average person go great, which is going to be me in about 5 years' time. But really, that's the space that we work in. And again, thank you so much, Sarah. Definitely a lot to take away. It is a stressful job, so definitely making time for those breaks and those elements in the day that can help re-energize, because it's really easy to just run yourself ragged. So definitely appreciate the words there. Melanie.
Thanks, Dan. So today I'm absolutely delighted to be able to tell you that I've got Sarah Gracie Campaign started working for me this week, and Sarah was on this session a little bit earlier, but unfortunately she had to go off to another meeting. So I'm really excited. I've been so pleased this week to have someone working beside me and share the load, and hopefully I can put into practice some of those great tips that Sarah Linton talked about today. So that's really awesome. Just one further thing I would like to share with you is we put a blog out yesterday. Can you see that, Dan? Yep. Okay, cool. And I wanted to bring it to everyone's attention, and the topic was, have you joined the Octopus tribe yet? And if you're not aware of the Octopus, and if TNG members aren't on the Octopus yet, please have a look at it. I've put the links on the blog to make it easy, both for the Facebook page, which is a global community, and also for the website where you can get the 9 educational modules. It's a free tool that TNG are offering for our members, and you'd be crazy if you don't take advantage and have a look at it. So that is me. Thank you.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, Melanie. And obviously, there's Mark's had to head off to another meeting, but obviously from the TNG side, all know what TNG does. So that's Mark's brainchild, and then obviously Maintain to Profit, which is his home maintenance repairs business as well, which has franchises throughout the country. So 2 aspects, diversifying his income and, leading by example. We're all business owners in the room. So thanks. That's a wrap for the meeting today. We will obviously be meeting in a fortnight, same time on Friday, 10:30. And we will have a range of guest speakers available. If you have a topic that you want to learn more about, or if you know someone that you think would be really valuable, who could have some great input to TNG, please let Melanie or myself know, and we can arrange to get those people in. And obviously, if you yourself have a message that you want to tell, again, reach out to Melanie and we can make something happen. So otherwise, thank you so much. Hopefully you get a well-restful weekend, recoup, re-energize for the year ahead, goodness. But thanks everyone, and we will see you in a fortnight.
Thanks, guys.
Bye for now.